we meet again, don't we? Yeah.
Just to talk about your performance tonight. I mean, first of all, you started off strong. You went 8 for 8, and then you missed your last shot.
It was great, right?
But
Game when I missed.
but just talk about it. Because you have had your struggles early on, but then it just seems like the last 3 games you bounced back, played better. In this one, you had 22 points, 5 for 6 on threes.
It's just my preparation, honestly. I come to work every day, do the same thing over and over again. I'm just trying to stay consistent. The shots I got in the game is the shots I work out on. So, it just came natural, honestly.
What goes into that preparation? Kind of take us through that routine?
Just being consistent, honestly. I watch film on the shots that I get in the game. So those are the shots that I constantly work on in my workouts. So when it comes to the game, it's like second nature to me.
Is it as simple as that eventually shots are going to fall for you and you just have it's about repetition for you?
Yeah, I'm like it's a miss or make league, so I can't really beat myself up on the misses. So even on the makes, I can't get too high. I gotta stay level-headed. So I'm just gonna go back to the drawing board and just continue to work.
No Paul, obviously, no Joel. A lot of guys playing extended minutes early on in this season. Was there kind of a call, whether just to anyone to step up or to you specifically before this game?
No, honestly, I just go into every game, just with the stay ready mindset, because, I know I haven't been playing, but the way our team is and the way everything is like set up, I just stay ready at all times.
Nick was just talking to us about his confidence in you. He said, when he has a bad game, it doesn't even faze me because I love him. I guess just what stands out to you about your relationship with Nick? When did you realize that he had that sort of faith in you? And how encouraging is that for you when you do experience those struggles?
That means a lot coming from Nick, actually. We had a little moment in practice probably like last month, maybe like a month and a half ago. I was sitting on the sideline, and he was like, I'm not worried about you, and you shouldn't be worried about yourself, and it's all going to work out. So, that honestly just, it shows that, I've been waiting my turn, and today was my day, honestly.
Justin, what does this Winton say about y'all? I mean, it just seems like all year, well, it's only been 11 games, but for most of the games, you guys have been able to battle back and pull out, close ones.
Really our vets, honestly. Reese in the locker room, we got a lot of guys that's willing to fight and do whatever for each other. And it's all starting with, Joel and Reese. So, when we see those guys coming in every day and working hard, it really trickles down to all of us.
You just talked about Tyrese. You guys are 6-3 in clutch games so far this year, a lot different than last year. Just what has he meant to this team and in setting the tone for the energy this year?
He means a lot, honestly. That's the franchise, man. So, he means a lot to us. Like I said earlier today to the media out there, he's really consistent with everything he does. And, for guys like me and everybody else, that's something that we want to do. We want to be in his shoes one day with the contracts and all that stuff. So, just staying consistent and, just coming to work every day, willing to teach, willing to learn, and that, means a lot to our team.
Besides simply just making shots tonight, are there elements of your game that either you feel like you worked on during the summer or even just early on in the season that you feel like you could kind of show and apply tonight?
My defense. I always talk about my defense when you guys ask me what's something that I work on. I really take pride in my defense because that's something that gets me on the court. My shots, if they fall or if they don't fall, but I know if I do good on the defense, and I'll make something happen for our team.
The last shot, how did it feel coming out of your hands? What was going through your head?
It didn't feel good, but I shot it. And, like I said, a game wouldn't miss, a little joke, K9 tapped it in. So, all worked out in our favor, right?
Besides that one, there were a couple of those big shots that you made that gave you guys a lead or tied the game. I can't remember exactly which, but you were pretty animated, which you're a very even-keeled guy. So in those moments when you do get kind of hyped up, just how does that feel when you know that you
I actually kind of chilled out when I got to the NBA. Honestly, I've always been that type of guy. You guys, mama, she's standing right there. I've always been a little guy. I've always been the guy, to just scream. That's how I got myself going as a high school and college. So I kind of chilled out, but that was just a little something. I don't know.
So to do that at the NBA level, though, does that feel like?
Yeah, and then especially my hometown, it was it gave me chills low key, and then I was I had to snap back in because I was zoned out. Honestly, it was just everything was just happening so fast.
Do you think coming back home plays any kind of factor in that, kind of getting you back out of your shell?
Yeah. Sort of, kind of. I don't think it really has nothing to do with them. It's just me just getting out of my head, honestly, and, you know, just putting all my trust into God and letting everything work out.
Do you remember what you yelled, or is that just, did you just kind of like?
I know, but if he say he gonna get a beating.
Well, yeah, she knows.
Do you get the PG version of it?
Let's freaking go.
But just talk about that stretch when you had, not what you said, but when you hit 3 consecutive threes to bring y'all back.
Like I said, I didn't even know I did that. I was just zoned out, honestly, you know. That's actually, in one of my workouts, I had to go 20 for 25 and, like, at 5 spots. And Rico was like, you just got to zone out. And I guess that's what he meant by it, because, you know, I just was shooting and wasn't even really thinking about it. And then when they called timeout, honestly, you telling me I hit 3 threes in a row, that's my first time hearing about it, because I didn't even know I did that.
Nick was also saying that he'd rather you guys be a good fourth quarter team than third quarter team. Obviously, you don't want to fall into those holes, but the fact that you guys have come back in games, has that already like built confidence that you guys can do that when you get down?
Yes. Honestly, we talk a lot on having better third quarters, so we won't have to be in that position. But, you know, everything doesn't work out in our favor all the time. So, you know, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, and that's one thing that I know we'll do is to fight back and to win games.
Justin, what do you think has gone wrong in those third quarters? Because it is really the only thing you guys have had that has been a negative mark on the team so far.
I don't think nothing really goes wrong, honestly. You know, we missed a couple shots, but that's part of the game. And, you know, I feel like in majority of our games, teams don't really have like consecutive runs against us where they're just scoring. And I feel like most teams get their run against us in the third quarter. So, you know, it's basketball gods, you know, so, you know, we just got to keep working, honestly, watch film and see what we can do to change that.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep.